Hello and welcome to another episode of Stories from the Set. My name's Jesus. I'm your personal Jesus. Today's episode, we're going to be speaking with Millie, and she only wants to go by Millie, so that's what we're going to call her. But before I get started, I'd like to go over some trailers that I watched to give you my opinion on how I think they'll do. Again, I'm only just watching the trailers. We'll introduce Millie after. Okay, first up we have the Irishman. Okay, so I'm just going to tell you the cast names if you haven't heard of the movie. I'm sure everybody has. Scorsese directing, De Niro, Al Pacino, Pesci, Ray Romano. Need I say more? Of course, everybody's going to go see this. I'm sure it's going to do great. I predict big box office. Really do. And somebody's going to get an Academy Award. At least I hope. It looks pretty good. All right. Next one. It's a Netflix movie, but of course it's going to have to show in theaters in order for it to get any Academy nomination, to be considered for the Oscars. So I know I'm going to watch it on Netflix. Okay, Jexy. I guess this would be the comic version of the movie that came out a while ago with which starred Joaquin Phoenix and the voice of, I don't know, what's her name? You know who I'm talking about. Looks funny. I'm gonna watch it. I'm probably not gonna go to theaters to see it, but well, maybe it depends. No, I'm not going to. Usually go to theaters if it's gonna be worth it for that $30. For that $15 ticket, $20 ticket. I don't know, whatever it's going to cost wherever you go. So, yeah, I think it's going to be good. I think it's going to do well. It looks funny. It said it has Rose Byrne in it, but I didn't see her in it at all. So, I don't know. I think that just might be a typo in the description, to be honest, because she was nowhere in sight. But then again, what do I know? Okay, let's go on to the next one. We're just going to do like 3 this time because I'm under pressure to get this done before midnight. Well, okay, who do you get to play the nicest guy that was ever on television? Of course, the nicest guy in all of film, Tom Hanks playing Mr. Rogers in A Beautiful Day in the Neighborhood. Of course, I grew up with Mr. Rogers, and the trailer was choking me up. And I'm still kind of choked up about it because, Fred Rogers was an important part of, like, my generation. And I'm going to watch this movie. I'm going to go to the theater to see it because I'm interested. I don't know that much about him. All right. I don't think it's going to be a box office smash. Hanks has already got 3 Oscars, so I don't think he's getting anything there. So we'll see how it goes. But I think it'll do well overall. It'll be a nice, good Thanksgiving feel-good movie. Definitely. Okay, just one more because I want to do one where I'm not so emotional. Okay. Next trailer, final trailer, and then we'll get on to Millie. All right. Birds of Prey. This is the Margot Robbie reprises her role as Harley Quinn, and I guess her and Joker have gone through a breakup. So this looks, from just looking at the trailer, it seems to be like bad villain girl power movie. Bad villain girl power movie is the best way I could put it. Looks good, looks interesting. I think I'm going to go to this theater to see it. Margot Robbie as beautiful as she is definitely not is definitely making her way through Hollywood based on her talent, because everything I see her in, she completely changes. It's Margot Robbie, but she definitely like envelops a character, unlike some actresses in these days. Anyway, that's the end of those are all the trailers I'm doing today. Let's see how well I do. I'm not keeping track or anything. Excuse me. So now I would like to introduce my guest. I would give you her resume, but it is too big and varied for me to do it. So I'm recording this after the interview. So I'm going to let you discover along with me. I guess that would be the proper term. So please welcome my guest, Milli. All right, Milli, I appreciate you coming by the way, I just want to say to all my friends out there who did not respond to my post, shame on you, and I will remind you. Anyway, thank you, Milli. Your mom said highly recommended you to come on. And I was like, yay, somebody better than just me talking to myself. So thank you.
Yeah, I'm happy to be here.
Good. So, catering. What made you? Are you a foodie? Were you desperate to get in the film industry and that was the only way in? Or?
That's a fun question, actually.
Yeah.
No, actually, growing up, my grandfather did most of the cooking, so I watched him and I learned a few things. But food was not my passion. Music and such was my passion, and actually getting into the film industry was not a passion of mine either. So I tried desperately to stay away from it. And on set at Playboy, by chance.
Wait a second. Slow down. On set at Playboy? What were you doing on set at Playboy, just out of curiosity?
Okay, so...
you can't just run. Well, I was on set at Playboy.
I sure can.
Yeah.
I can do anything. Anyways, I ended up on many a weird set. Anyway,
yeah,
Playboy...
Well, okay, so go on with the Playboy.
Well, I was just visiting a friend of mine who is a playmate, and my boyfriend at the time.
She was a playmate.
Mm-hmm.
What's her name?
Jenna Jameson.
Oh, you know. Okay, I'm aware who Jenna Jameson is.
Okay.
Yes. Continue, please. I'm writing stuff down so I can remember to ask you questions later.
Well, this is just that random question, and I'm here to remind myself that I was on set to meet a friend. And my boyfriend worked for Playboy at the time, and he was doing a shoot and said, come on down, check it out.
And what did he do for Playboy? Was he a photographer?
An
audio engineer.
Audio engineer. Yeah, we were together about 10 years.
Because Playboy is known for their audio quality. Go on.
Yes. Well, it's a very nice... he's a good audio engineer. He's still in the business.
I don't doubt it.
And he's kind of one of the reasons why I got into the industry. So starting out, the craft service lady happened to need a root canal. And she said, is there anyone around who'd like to run the crafty? So I said, sure, I'll take a stab at it, no worries. And I worked around the set and gave people food and put stuff into baskets, and I really didn't know what I was doing. And I opened what I thought was a dishwasher.
Uh-huh.
And it was actually a dildo dishwasher. I couldn't believe that I had my craft service on top of and around this dildo dishwasher. And immediately I said, get this thing out of here. This is wrong. This has to go into another room.
It was sanitary. They were in the washer already.
I was quite mortified. I was like, are you kidding me? But I get that. I guess that's what we get for being on the set at Playboy.
Yeah, I've told this story several times, so I'm going to tell it again. I used to work for Roger Corman, and at the time we were remaking a series from the 70s that this guy owned called Emmanuel. Mm-hmm. And so we were doing the name. I think the name of the series, I'm not good. You can look this up just to make sure was Emmanuel in space. But anyway, I had to run something to the set one day from the office, which is where I worked in Brentwood. So I'm driving all the way down to Venice, which is where it was at the time. And his studio, by the way, was a former lumber yard that they just turned the buildings into studios. So there's somebody outside that I see the lights on outside, filming. When it goes off, I walk in, and I'm like, I had to talk to somebody and say, hey, this is so-and-so, and you can give that to me. And they were immediately ready to go. So I had to wait until they started filming. So the way it says is like, there's like a wall. I can only see the director. I can't see the set. Mm-hmm. So I don't know what's going on in the set. But as I'm standing there on the side, watching the director, okay, he gets back into the camera. He's like, okay, everybody, grab a partner. Excellent. Start simulating sex. And I was like, what? And so I kind of like stepped over, peeked out, and they were shooting an orgy scene. So I was like, and me at the time, who was brought up very Catholic, was like, I've got to get out of here. I got to go to confession.
What
I
do
know
I
this
do
isn't
in
right.
this situation?
I need to leave. I'd never seen so many naked bodies in my life. So was it like that at the Playboy Mansion?
Well, I never actually went to the mansion. That was
Wait a second. You never went to a party there?
I'd been invited.
Oh,
a
but you
couple
never
of
went.
times,
And
but
why
I
didn't
never
you
went.
go? Because they're legendary Los Angeles parties. I mean,
Right.
who wouldn't give their
Actually,
right arm to go?
I had a personal invitation from Hef himself.
Oh, wow.
Yeah,
He liked
so,
you.
Yeah.
Just be glad you weren't one of the girls who had to get into the pool sometimes.
Yeah, no, you'd stay away from that pool, right? No, I guess I never went, one, because I had a boyfriend at the time, and I said, hey, I don't go if he doesn't come. And they're like, well, we don't bring guys in without pre-approval.
Oh, really?
There was this whole process.
Oh.
They would just grab girls from anywhere, no
Yes,
problem.
yes. I had a friend who, she told me a story about, it was like a cold day, and they were having like some sort of party there. It wasn't like it was like at a Playboy party, but it was like on the radio or something like that. And she was like, Hugh Hefner every so often would tell like a girl to get in the pool, and she would, only have like her bikini bottoms on, and she was like, that water was cold, and there was no way I was going to get in there. And I was like, oh, she was so happy that in cloudy, 64-degree weather, she didn't have to like get into the pool and
Yeah,
be
but I
part
mean,
of the
you're
spectacle.
at the mansion. It's cold. Pools. He says get in the pool. You're like, okay, I'll.
Yeah, she
get
was
in the
glad she
pool.
wasn't one of those girls. She's like, thank God.
So no, this happened to be at a studio in
So
Glendale.
in Glendale.
It's a remote studio.
So, like Bill Cosby could get in without a problem, but they had to screen your boyfriend?
Yeah.
Okay, just making sure.
And Hugh Hefner remembered me. He's like, hey, I invited you to a party about 8 months ago. I was like, for an older guy, he's got a very good memory. And he's like, why didn't you come? I was like, well, because every time you see me, I happen to be out with my guy friends. I've got my man stable around me, and they go where I go. So they come, I'm not coming down unless you let my guys come. And he was like, well, maybe next time. He's like, submit their letters and we'll have you come through. And I never went through with that because I was too busy having my own fun. I'm sure they're having a lot of fun at the mansion, and I'm sure there's a lot of great stories that come from there. But I've got a lot of great stories from where I was at too. Okay,
good to know. See, it isn't that great. You can make your own stories. They don't have to be at the Playboy Mansion to be fun. That's what you learn from that. Playboy Mansion, Schmayboy Mansion. So was he wearing pajamas every time you talked to him?
No, he happened to be in a three-piece suit.
Okay, now I can tell my story about him. There was a club called Firefly on Sunset. I think it was called Firefly. And one day, one of my friends were like, "Come on, let's go to this club." I'm like, "Why?" I grew up out here. They're from like Northern California. I'm like, "All right, let's go in."
Go into the Firefly.
And we went into the Firefly, and I'm just like dancing. We get on the dance. I'm like, I don't know. I'm drunk. I don't even think I'm dancing with anybody. I'm just like, these guys are boring. I'm just gonna get on the dance floor. Who walks in with two blondes on his arm, but Hugh Hefner. And the dance area was like minimal at best. So like, literally, not Hugh, but literally me and his two dates were moving tables out of the way, making a bigger dance floor.
Nice.
That was kind of funny. I didn't say anything to him while he was there, though. He was like closer to me than we are right now. I wish I would have.
Chicks in heels moving tables is obviously a spectacle.
Yeah, that was a spectacle.
I met him the first time at the World Cafe, or they called it the World, and it was at the corner of Hollywood and La Brea. There's a statue with the
all the way up there. Yeah.
Circle top, the whole thing. And it was right behind there in the bottom floor of this, I don't know, I think 10-story building. And something different now.
What were you doing there? Just eating?
Dancing.
Dancing?
Yeah. And that's when he saw me, and he said I was an angel on the floor. And
wow, right
me
off the bat.
Come dance at his mansion party and everything, and he said, "I just love watching you move." So I just thanked him, and I gave him a hug, and I think he bought me a drink, and that was it.
Wow, his charms didn't work on you. You were totally deflected, or were you just like, whatever, old man?
Well, I take that stance with celebrities because they're people too, and I'm genuine in the way that I thanked him for his compliments, and I didn't bring up all of his exploits to talk about, like question this and question that. And you'll see the more we talk when I meet celebrities, I don't really do that because they know I know because I've seen it and I know who they are. So there's no real need to go down all those roads unless there's an inquisitive question that's like going to help me out some way. Like there's other times when I met Paul McCartney and Ozzy Osbourne and people like that I never went down those
all through
roads.
Catering.
Well, yes.
Okay. Just making sure.
Well, I worked for
trying to connect
for
things
a while.
together. Oh,
yeah,
wow.
So.
Well, okay, slow down. I thought you said your daughter was just into catering.
No, I'm a multifaceted person.
Your mother
has done a lot in her lifetime.
I was going to give you a brief synopsis, but you said let me ask the question. So
yeah, well,
I'm
just surprised the way your mother, when your mom replied to me, it was like, my daughter worked in catering. Will that work? I'm like, yeah, sure, but she could have, bragged on.
Give you a little bit of backstory.
Yeah, gotta brag.
I mentioned Elton and John.
Okay.
Well, there's big names, of course.
Right, but
some of these stories about being on set, like you're gonna love this one.
Okay.
Honestly, to everyone in the industry, you guys work so hard, and there's hardly ever any time to have food. So it was my job to make sure that there's coffee and something for breakfast in the morning, and then in the afternoon there's a little snack, and I do a tray pass. So I'll take fruits.
Okay, so I paused due to technical difficulty. So, what were you saying? Tray passes?
Yeah, well, tray passes. You're bringing in food.
Explain
to
to people what tray passes are.
Tray passes, building a nice, beautiful tray and an accoutrement, so to speak, of different foods and snacks, finger foods, basically. Directors, they can't move, and production, audio village and things like that, they don't move. They sit at their station all the time. So I would bring a tray of fruits and vegetables.
Snacks. You would bring snacks.
Peanut butter and jelly sandwiches, well-timed, are a lifesaver.
Who doesn't like peanut butter and jelly?
And it's great when you're trying to serve a little mini slider to naked people on set at Playboy. They're like right
just
in the
chilling.
middle, breaking, pausing for technical difficulties, but they're in the middle of whatever, and they're like, snack, please, and you're like, okay, here you go.
Just out of curiosity, were those all softcore or like hardcore?
Soft.
Okay.
Yeah, so soft. Sorry. Yeah. I really wouldn't put myself in that situation where, because I had a choice on gigs, and the lady I worked for at the time, she wouldn't have put us in that situation either. So, she put me in a lot of amazing situations during my craft service days with her, and then I went on my own and found that, you gain, when you know people on set and they go, I'm going on to the next gig, you want to come along? Or, hey, I've got a friend who's on a production right now. Are you available to help them out? Can you send over, a quote, and we'll see where we go from there. And are you a one-stop shop? Do we have to get your kit from somewhere else, or do you have your own? So I ended up building my own kit that way. And I went on the road with my with one of my jobs, and it took me 3 weeks, and it was an amazing gig, and doing craft service out of the back of a U-Haul rental van.
Where were you going? And
I was in Chicago. We did the Route 66 show. It was called the Great American Road Trip for CBS. It was a big big deal. Yeah.
CBS.
So that was probably I could talk for an entire show about that job. There was so many amazing stories from that. But one thing I will say is, when you work hard, you play hard. And I think I drank almost every night, and we barbecued and partied, and on my days off, I lounged around in giant hotels and had a really great time. So, but back to the craft service part, I want to thank them. So, everybody who works on set so much. I appreciate serving them food and well-timed. making sure that they make it through their day, and
Mm-hmm.
it
Do you have
doesn't
any
go
specialties?
unnoticed. Specialties.
Like, like, I don't know, because I guess this one craft service that, like, her thing, she was like a pastry chef as a trade, so she
Sure.
would, so every so often you would come out and it would be a little different puff pastry, whatever it be, whether it be
Sure.
sweet or savory. It was just
Right.
like her
I would
thing.
YouTube things and be like, okay, that's the new thing for the day, especially while I was shopping,
Mhm.
because you can only go through so many menus, and you're like, okay, this is repetitive. How do we keep it moving? And I would just stop at one of the many Costco's or Smart and Finals. I think I knew every Smart and Final in town, and I stopped at every Walmart from here to Chicago, so I know. Shopping, I'd be like, okay, this is new, that's new, what can I do? And sure, I would take puff pastry and dip it in cinnamon sugar, roll it up, throw it in the oven for a minute, and serve it hot.
Mm-hmm.
I would also recruit mom to come out, and you're on eggs, or, and we'd make little burritos. We'd have like, a 200 rolled burritos every way you could think. Eggs, no cheese, vegetable, meat, no meat, like just trying to cover every base to make sure everybody had their flavor.
Who bitches the most regarding food?
PAs.
PAs?
Nobody else
surprising.
has time
That
to
is
bitch
surprising
about
to
food.
me.
That and the
PAs.
person with the money. The
yeah.
person giving you the money. If
The
they have a
executive-
problem,
okay.
the EP will come and say, I'm sorry, I don't want my people eating out of a giant bowl. It looks like a trough or something like that. Can we get individual packs? Can we do this? Can we make it more sanitary? Can we do scoops? You know what I mean? There's
Right.
always somebody who says everybody's got their hand in the dish now, and you're like, well, I agree with that, but there is a spoon there, and they're welcome to use it.
Right.
You can't, you can't. Some people will just walk by and scoop their hand in it. So
what does it matter? I guess he's the one with these. That's what I don't like about. I've seen some like discussions where like somebody who is in the executive branch of production, and tries to put in their 2 cents, and it's like, really, you're gonna hold us up for that? Okay.
Well, yeah, that's for their content and whatever. But hopefully, Crafty never held them up. that would be the death of me. In that situation, if I decided to have, oh God, here we go. It's the toaster, everyone, and I'm sorry to all my grips who had to come off set to help me, like, turn power back on because I was blowing power because I'd have a hot plate on, and then somebody would be doing their steamer right next to me because there's little room, and then so-and-so's got their computers plugged in over here, and my coffee pot's kicking at 150, and then somebody comes along and just wants a bagel. They just want a bagel, and they kick on the toaster, and that blows the whole
circle.
thing. And then
Yeah.
people are like, okay, power department, quick. Well, then they taught me how to do it, and I said, okay, I know this is a union job, but if I'm like, and you're over there and I'm over here, and I know how to fix it quick, and nobody would know the difference, then like let me help you out there, because
Don't
have to call
let
you
here
every time.
728 say here. Say that.
Right. So, yeah. What?
I remember I worked on a student film. It was a thesis film as a favor to a friend. And we had just like a mini Honda generator. Like I think we had 2 of them, and the wardrobe department plugged in her steamer, and we were not that far away, but all of a sudden we just hear that thing just like ramp up. I'm like, God, what the hell's going on? We thought there was a major problem till like he's like, it should be. And he's like, what's on this thing? And then sure enough, we walk into the tent, and her little thing from like the 60s that her mother gave her that has like a huge coil in it is sucking up all the generator juice, and we're like, you're gonna have to unplug that.
Yeah, I know it's sentimental to you, but
Yeah.
they make one for $25 down the street that takes very little power.
Yeah, but that one worked the best as far as she was concerned. But nonetheless, that was a little funny day. My little generator thing, because I usually don't. I'm not a juicer. I'm a grip. So.
Right. Okay.
Forgot what we were talking about.
Well, we were talking about food
Food.
on set.
We were talking about food on set.
I have,
And the biggest complainers are the PAs and the
right.
the executives.
And then I have my
of
own
course.
complaints of sure, like
What are
I
your
said,
complaints?
with the people who scoop their hand in the dish and leave a huge mess. One person could come by and it looks like a tornado hit the damn table. I was like, geez, calm down. Okay, somebody was super hungry, or they would take. I have a budget.
Right.
And per day, say they want to spend $350 a day on. This is snacks. This is beyond catering.
Right.
Catering is a whole other world. I'm just the mousse bouche. I'm the one who brings in the little bits and snacks of what's to come
Right.
for
So
later.
you're not like cooking the dinners and all that
yeah,
stuff.
no, but there
Okay,
are
copy that.
some warm snacks coming in.
Okay. You know how to use a microwave. Right on.
Right. Well, hot plates were
Hot
my.
plate.
That
Okay.
was my specialty.
I'm just teasing.
So pancakes would come off that hot plate. Some amazing things would come off that hot plate. Hot plate picture. So, my complaint is I had a guest star come through on a movie that I was on, and he put a grilled cheese he put a peanut butter and jelly sandwich in my toaster.
What? Was he high at the time?
Probably. I mean, I could tell you the star's name, but I don't know. This would be me.
Okay,
guessing.
let me
I'm
put
gonna
you
hold
this
his
way.
name.
You want to ruin your reputation? That's fine with
No,
me.
I'm going to hold his name. No, because he was great. He was great to me, so I will leave it unknown. But he did, but he was so apologetic. He actually brought a toaster the next day, and it was a four slice toaster instead of a two. So it was an upgrade for me. And then it came back around. It was great because about 6 months later, I happened to be at the Greek, and I was there to see a show, and I got in backstage, so I didn't have a ticket or anything. And I'm there on a date, and my date and I are standing in the beer line going, okay, well, what's next? How do we get around these security? Because they're looking at us.
Right.
Up comes my celebrity toaster guy, and he's like, hey, Crafty, what are you doing here? And I'm like, here to see the concert, having a good time. And he's like, well, where are you sitting? Where are you at? And I'm like, I'm kind of in through the back door. He's like, okay, I got you covered. He's like, I won't forget that toaster situation, so I'm going to do you one solid. And you take these tickets to that guy over there. He's going to give you some wristbands, and you can hang out in the front, down front, and also go backstage. So I was super grateful, but his girlfriend was going off like, who's this chick, and why are you giving her my friend's tickets? And he's like, look, they're late, they're not coming. And I was like, out of there. I was like, that guy over there,
you're
avoid
like, bye.
that conversation.
Thanks,
nice
bye.
to meet you, lady. Thanks, guy, gotta go. Okay. And he's like, have a good time, I'll see you backstage. So big shout out to you know who you are if you're listening.
I thought it was a bad story. I mean, it's not a bad story. It's a good story, so I don't see
Yeah.
why you couldn't say their name.
Okay, his name's Jesse Metcalf. Don't know him? That's okay.
Sure, he's popular.
Yeah.
I don't know everybody.
Thank you, Jesse, for the tickets.
I stopped.
It was a
paying
good date.
I stopped paying attention to. I don't know, a lot of stuff in
Well,
the
it's
90s
hard to stay
because
up
it's hard to stay up because
because-
you got this, that, and the other, and I just went
Yeah.
shut it off.
Yeah. At some point, it's too much, and I agree. I had to step away from the industry for a while, and I'm still kind of out. But there are people who are in who I'm still friends with who kind of bring me back in. So, not that I'm ever doing crafty anymore because that's a job.
So
that,
what jobs do you take now? That crafty is over in your resume.
Well, I mean, I moved from crafty. I was also a design producer for Extreme Makeover Home Edition for a quick moment, and I want to tell you that the people from that show are lovely, and they did magic and made a lot of people happy and changed lives, and it was a really special job to be a part of.
That's good because I've had excuse me, people in the past come on who are on reality shows, and they could advance because they were a white guy.
Aw.
And he's seen everybody move up around him.
Yeah.
But anyway, so.
Well, that's okay.
That's
I
it's
mean,
good. It's good to know that. I told him, I'm like, oh, you don't need like that, and feel free to spread that asshole's name around if you want.
well, the industry is a stepping stone industry. You start somewhere, and it really is. You start from the bottom and work your way up if that's what you want. And if
Right.
you want, you will find a way. That's
That's
you
true.
either sink or swim. They say that about LA, and it's not derogatory in any
Yeah.
way. But if it's your passion, you'll find it. If it's your direction, the opportunity will come your way, and hopefully you're grateful when you get there. I think maybe a lot of it is maybe some nepotism, of course, because there's a lot of people I know that are families that started out in there and then they've come up, and that's okay too, because that's their passion. It's in their blood.
Yeah, I don't have a. I understand. Well, he's off onto better things anyways. That was kind of like just like he literally landed a network reality show gig, like
Right.
coming off the plane. Seriously.
Sure.
By answering a Craigslist ad of all things.
And that's the opportunity you're looking for, and everyone out there.
Yeah, but I think the
That's looking-
disappointment was watching everybody move up and then having the producer come up to you and say, "Oh, you might as well just leave because
Right.
we're not going to do anything for you. I mean, you're going as far as you're going to go here."
Wow. Well, and I never said it was going to be easy.
Right,
But
right.
there's always the next job.
I harbor no ill will to anybody who gets a leg in. Fuck, man. I would
Right.
take the opportunity. I've had plenty of squandered opportunities in my life. So yeah, man. More power to you.
Right.
However you can get in. This is a hard. Actors come out here. What 5% work?
Right. Right.
Even with all the social media, I mean, there's YouTube stars and things like that. But if you're coming out here to
Sure.
be in a film or on television,
Sure.
obviously there's more opportunity now. But still, that segment of the acting population that's working is very small.
Sure.
You
Yeah.
know? And it's just like anything else in this industry. You're only as good as your last job. You're only as good as your reputation.
Yeah.
You're only as good. And if you don't have a good work ethic, or you don't have a good attitude on set, or
Right. I
you're
felt
not
that way
getting-
after jobs, especially after Great American Road Trip, or not road trip, but from the building show. Working
Right.
with Ty Pennington and the whole gang, and I was like, wow, this was really special. And now that I'm not doing that job anymore, what's next? And there was a depression there for
Yeah,
sure. I was
of
thinking
course.
to myself, God, what?
because these are
what
the
could
people
there
you're
be?
with the most.
Yeah, what could there be? And I just took a step outside and reminded myself that there's 1,000 other shows, and there's 1,000 other gigs, and there's a ton of other opportunities. You just have to be in the right place, the right time. And I find that my Hollywood days, I was charmed that way. I really went from one job to the next. And even though there was a feast and famine, but my
Right.
famine
Right.
was at least.
Right.
My feast was more than my famine, I'll say, and I
Right.
was lucky.
Right. Good.
For sure.
Yeah. Well, that must meant you were a hard worker with a good reputation.
Okay, we'll keep it like that.
Yeah. So the work hard, play hard. Don't think I didn't forget about that. What I heard a story one time about a guy who, like, they were out literally in the middle of nowhere, 2 hours from like the nearest hospital, and this guy decides to have a few. I mean, everybody was drinking, but he had a few too many and decided to go on a hike and climb a tree.
Oh, that happens too. Yeah.
And broke his arm.
Oh, that's gonna make setting it work easy next day. Sure.
Well, no, they literally had to get him to a hospital because it was a compound. It was the bone was out of the
Oh,
thing, so they had to
no.
wait 2 hours for the hospital.
Oh no.
2 hours to get him
Oh.
there, and then they had to fly in somebody to replace him because obviously he's not going to work anymore.
Right.
And needless to say, the guy was working with he's like, I haven't heard from that guy ever since. Because if you're gonna.
Right.
You
Well, there
know.
was we heard about a guy jumping off a balcony. He was an audio guy. Got caught with one of the contestants.
Oh, really?
What was this show? It was the Bachelor in Paradise.
Oh shit. Oopsie.
Right. Okay. But how? Oh, I have a set sent me to.
Wait a second. Why? Did he jump out of off the balcony to avoid being caught?
Yeah.
Was he
and then,
aiming for
and
the
then broke
pool?
his ankle and obviously was caught. But I mean, he must have been like stupid, stoned, drunk, and stupid. But I have a set sent me to the ER story.
Oh, really? What
I
happened
do.
to you?
Okay, I was on the Scream Awards.
The what awards?
The Scream Awards.
Scream Awards.
Scream.
Okay.
So this is horror films
Right.
and things that are scary. I think Ozzy and Sharon were hosting that year, and there was a new Star Wars movie out that year, so all kinds of stormtroopers came out,
Right.
and it was to see stormtroopers and hear that click, clack,
Yeah.
click, clack, and all of them together. It definitely made your hair stand up. But there was an In-N-Out truck as a courtesy of
Of
production.
course. Who doesn't love In-N-Out?
So I had my burger and fries, and I guess I had a lemonade, a strawberry lemonade or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, the sugar in the and the straw cup and everything. So I went to go take a sip. I'm back to craft service doing my thing, being fast, and I grabbed my cup, take a sip, and I thought it was like an ice chip maybe got caught in my throat. It was a wasp.
A wasp had
Yeah.
crawled. Oh, did it
There was
sting you?
there was a wasp in my straw,
Oh, wow.
and I sucked it down, and it was in my throat crawling around, and it stung me like 5 or 6 times. Now, thank God I'm not allergic to wasps or bees, because I would have definitely closed up and lost my air constriction. But a PA came over and was like, "What's wrong?" Because I was like, you know, I can't speak. And then I put my finger down my throat and I spit it out, and it was still alive. And I stepped on it.
Of course.
I was like,
you stung me, man. You're
You
dying.
bite me, you're gonna die. So I stepped on it, and the PA was like, well, I'm gonna get on walkie as we're en route to the hospital. So we're en route to the hospital, and this PA was asking me all these questions, and I'm like, I just got stung in the throat by a wasp, and you're asking me all these fucking questions.
What was he
Excuse me,
asking
sir.
you? Are you okay? Are you allergic?
Well, yeah, and then, so how did you get into crafting?
He's asking for your resume.
So I ended up at the ER. They gave me a Benadryl and sent me on my way. But it made for a really great story.
I would think so. I don't know anybody who's been stung in the throat by a wasp.
Yeah, and then and then I returned to work. They're like, "Are you sure you're okay able to finish the day?" And I'm like, "Absolutely. Let's do this. I'm not missing this show. Are you kidding? I'm here for the show. I serve these people, but I'm here for the show." No, honestly, my crew.
Mm-hmm.
You know every one of their names. You know when they have kids. You know if they're married. You know what shows they've been on. You know their stories. They're your friend. They're your family. And you feed them, and you're like a mom to them, or a sister, or their shrink.
Shrink.
And honestly, being at the craft table is like being at the water cooler. So you hear a lot. And I would know who was getting fired from set that day. I knew who was like acting up. I knew who didn't get their reports in on time. I knew who was like what happened last night at the bar with so and so. There's a lot of stories. So we're talking about stories from the set.
Right.
I got
Well,
a couple of.
do you need me to pull them out of you, or are you going to volunteer?
No, you can ask me your questions, and they're going to just continue to come.
Okay, well, we can do it that way. So, were you ever on the set where they had to fire somebody well known?
No.
No, they wouldn't do that. It's too much money involved. Stupid question.
No, well, but there were issues with that person. For
Oh,
sure.
really? What were some of the issues? Not wanting to get out of there?
Right. Not being on time, mostly.
Yeah,
Being late.
I heard on The Voice there was that there was one celebrity who just refused to show up on time.
Yeah.
Just refused.
Yeah, I'll be there when I'm there. And
Yeah.
And there's millions of dollars on the line, and everybody's working and ready to go. And in LA, in the production, it's a rush to wait situation.
Yeah, I mean, we're already. I mean, you're already one of the first people on set. We start sitting up, getting ready for the day. boom, and then then they're filming, so we've got really nothing but to do to make simple changes,
Right.
and then break. We set up for the next one, or we get
Right.
So everybody has like a little bit of downtime
Yeah.
in between takes. So yeah, the more difficult people make it, the more expensive the budget becomes.
Well, and that's the B word I was talking about before. When you're on a budget, and that some of my complaints is that I can only spend a certain amount a day, and because that is my daily budget, they still want the table to look pumped up. By the end of the day, it's got to be pumped up all the time. So basically, I'm pumping my table with tomorrow's food, and at the end of the day, you've got your PAs and your extras, and they're like, okay, I'm gonna go home with dinner tonight from your craft table, and now they're taking tomorrow's food,
Right.
and then I'm at the end of the day going, I need I need everybody on set to understand that there's enough for everyone, and take what you need, but don't take more than you need for today, because I need that for tomorrow. And now your budget is going out the window because you're making me police everyone, but I can't tell your superstar celebrity and his entourage not to come like a gang of locusts across my table and leave even barely a scrap for the guy who's been humping all the gear for the last 12 hours, that there's no sodas left, that there's no waters left, that there's no chip snack or apple or banana or fruit cut plate or something that he can take home because he didn't snack all day. But yet all these people are going home with their Ralph's bag full of snacks because they think they need it for later.
Yeah, there was because I had a kid on here who was working on a cooking show. And they had lock and keys on the refrigerators that only a few people had,
Sure.
because they wanted to make sure that nobody is going to take home some of this gourmet food that everybody's working with.
Sure. Yeah. I've one day lox and bagels and cream cheese went flying out of my refrigerator, and I was like, oh no! But I knew who it was at the end of the day, by the midday.
Oh yeah. Like, why are you not hungry? Bagels and lox.
Right.
Yeah.
A little cream cheese on the mustache to give you away. No, it wasn't me. It wasn't me. But and then there's the craft service. It's a hard job. By no means is it glamorous at all.
No, I don't think anybody gets into the entertainment industry going, yes, I would like to provide people with snacks.
Right. My stories can be glamorous and seem like,
Sure.
wow, was that worth it? Which is why every time I would curse and be like, God, I hope this is my last day doing this crap, I turn around and go at the end of the day, shoot, that was fun.
Yeah.
Man, I had a good day. It was hard, but it was worth it because I got to meet the OJs, or I hung out with Keith Sweat for 4 hours and didn't even know it. Or, Justin Timberlake
I wouldn't
comes
know it
through
either.
with steak, and I'm like, what's this? And he says, well, I see you got a hot plate there, and you sure do some good crafty here, and I thought you wouldn't mind cooking these up for my dogs, and I'm
For my
thinking to
dogs.
myself,
Sounds like my mother.
okay. And then he comes running over to my table and says, I need some honey. And I said, it's going to cost you some sugar. And, and he plants this big old wet kiss on my cheek. And I'm like, whoa. My friends are never going to want to hear this story because they'd be really mad and jealous. But anyways, yeah, there's those days. Mm-hmm. And that reminds me of like the Poly Pavilion. Now we can talk about set. All these different places I've been and all these different sets I've been on.
So where's the most exotic location you've had to serve crafty?
Exotic location?
Exotic location.
Out in the middle of the desert.
I don't care where it's at.
No, it really was.
Really? Out in the middle of the desert.
In the middle.
I thought you were saying, do you want the desert story, the jungle story, or the on the boat story in the middle of the Mediterranean? I don't know.
And there are those stories. I do have lots of them.
Okay, well, one at a time.
But one of my favorites is the Shrine.
Shrine Auditorium, okay.
Love it.
Famous L.A.
Love it.
Theater, I guess you can call it.
And shout out to Mr. Ford, stage manager over there. Yeah.
Yay, Mr. Ford.
And so
What were you doing at the shrine?
the BETs.
Oh, the BETs.
Yeah, BETs of many.
And I met Drake, and I had no idea.
Mom met Drake.
Yeah, he
I didn't know who he was.
was. He was just coming out. He had a song, Angel Wings, something.
No, that was
The other guy. Anyway,
That was the
Drake.
other
Shout
guy.
out to Drake. But he was friendly to my mom, and
Did he say a boot? That's all I want to know, because he's
you
from
say
Canada.
because he's from Canada. I don't remember that.
I don't remember.
He was just rapping.
He just rapped to you the entire time.
No.
He's like, listen to my new album.
And then she shot the confetti off for the end of somebody else's song, and
At the end of the show.
yeah, at the end of the show, she
I got to do this confetti cannon
bringing mom on set was always
Confetti
a good
cannons.
was always a good choice.
because I would take the water up.
She would bring water to my crew.
Up to the
Well, I
light
made her
guys.
work. That's it.
She made me work.
She was working.
Good.
Like if you want in, this is how it goes.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, stories from the shrine are many, and getting to know the building itself, where people never get to go, was
Right.
a real privilege.
Oh,
and
yeah.
Thank you to my backstage crew and the people who had the key and knew where those places were. Took me there because it was just that cool. So
Yeah.
you had to share it.
Yeah, it's always fun going into those old theaters, right?
Mm-hmm.
You know, like, did you ever go up into the...
In the rafters, I
Yeah.
did. I made my way up there a few times to bring the rigging crew food.
Right? Because
And one
riggers
of-
got to eat, from
one
what
of
I
my
hear.
Don Johnson, one of my favorite riggers. He was always up there, and I believe he was crew at the shrine, like a all the time kind of guy.
Yeah.
So I would go up there even when we weren't on show, and he'd be like, "What are you doing here?" Like, I'm bringing you snacks because I know where you are, hanging out in the belfry.
Right.
Smoking his pipe or whatever he was doing, or just
Which, when it was legal
Right.
to smoke
Right.
indoors, he would never do that
no, on
today.
his off time, because it's such
He
a
would-
beautiful view.
Right, such a beautiful view. They would never...
Oh, and believe me, it's no secret. But there was other reasons for those belfries. They were actually, because this was a Mason lodge, and before that, it was more than that. It was like military installation. So,
Yes.
yeah.
Yeah.
So they had weapons up there.
Did they still have weapons up there?
No.
I thought that was funny. They're like, no, the guns, they just left them there.
They're relics.
Yeah, they're relic.
We go
They're
up there
rusted
and-
out. It's like when you, if you go down Pico over here, you can still see our one of the air raid towers still
Yes.
standing up.
Yes.
Yeah, which I find weird. I'm like, does that thing still work? They probably have it disconnected, but just kind of sits there, rusted out.
And now, isn't that the museum of?
No, it's literally standing. Like
Oh.
if I were to point it out to you, you'd be like, "That's an air raid sign." I'm
Yeah.
like,
Okay.
It's
Maybe.
just sitting there,
Right.
like no one knows what it is or no one cares.
Okay.
But I look at that and I'm like, oh, that's from the 40s. It's weird that it's still around, but
Yeah.
hey. Do you have a favorite venue you like to work at aside from the Shrine? Because obviously that holds
Yeah,
a special
you know what?
place
I
in your
really
heart.
love CBS. CBS was a home of mine for a long time,
I
and
have a
not
friend
just-
who's a stage manager over there.
Oh yeah, what's
Yeah,
his
he
name?
lives across the street, and his name escapes me as soon as you said it.
Okay.
His name's Jason. I think it's Jason. I don't want to know. I don't
No, it's
wanna-
okay.
Okay.
We don't want to.
As soon as you said it, I'm like, oh yeah, what is his name?
I know a few people from over there,
Mhm.
and I was always grateful for their help. And yeah, CBS's favorite because I was there for Dancing with the Stars. I was there for American Idol. I was there
Mhm.
for I even worked on The Price is Right. Oh my gosh! They asked me,
The
hey,
Bob Barker or the Drew Carey
the
version?
Drew Carey
Drew Carey.
version, and it was just after Bob, so Drew was
Oh,
new.
okay. Well, Bob had to retire for
I
personal
know,
reasons
and
and
just-
lawsuits.
Well, but growing up, seriously watching
Yeah.
that show and having the opportunity to spin the wheel, just
Uh-huh,
and
just
stand
while
next
you're
to
s-
it, and
yeah.
just be there, and drive.
Did you get $1? How
No.
many times did you, did you try to get $1?
No,
That's
it
the
was
question.
60 cents. 60 cents, I'm in. No, but yeah, it was a real pleasure to work on that set.
Yeah, that's like one of the perks that like, oh yeah, you want to come backstage. It's like one of the perks
Yeah.
of working in
Yeah,
this.
yeah.
That,
I mean, right. I mean, CBS is great, and it's just a bunch of studios, and
Mhm.
but there's so much history in there.
Oh, I
The Young
know.
and the Restless, and the the what is it? Bold and the Beautiful, and you walk through all those moving sets on your way upstairs to your gig, and then when you're having a break on your gig, you step up to the roof and there's a helicopter pad, and and you get to see the Hollywood sign, and you've got all these beautiful views to see, and you're like, I can see Sunset Studios over there and Paramount over there, and Paramount being on the backside of Hollywood.
Oh, Paramount's one of my favorite lots to go to because it's just so I mean, you have those iconic gates that are used in all these films and everything.
Actually, Paramount was one of the first sets that I was able to get backstage on.
Oh, really?
Being with my boyfriend, audio engineer, so I would jump around. He's like, "You got to come down. I'll get you in on the list and whatever." So I'd be walking around back there like, you got to know where you're going, and I had no clue, so I looked like I knew where I was going.
Oh yeah, as long as you look like you know where you're going, no one's gonna stop you.
No, exactly. So I'd be walking through doors, and people wouldn't even bat an eye because, you could be the new girl on scene.
I try to show my nephews around at the Fox Studios. They were just afraid of getting. I'm like, come on, we'll go. Like,
well, you're stepping over wires and cables, and there's sets, and there's
they didn't want to get in trouble,
yeah.
and I'm like, just look, they would like if there was a door, they would like stop, look in, and then like run past the door as quick as possible.
Well, I remember that feeling. And then when you're looking at the door and you're like, I need to get through that door, but it has an on-air sign, and you're not supposed to open the door, but once you're in and like that on-air sign is now on always because it's broken. You just go through the door whenever you want. But
the funny thing about that was they had, I don't know what the set was built for, but they had built an entire town in one of the sound stages.
Yes.
And I'm like, come on, let's go look at the town. No, they're going to kick us out. I'm like, what's the worst that can happen? They're going to ask us to go off the lot. Just relax. Man, they wouldn't go in there. I'm trying to brag, I guess. Like, come on, let's show you what Uncle can show you.
Yeah.
No, they didn't care. They just didn't want to get caught.
Yeah. When I remember sitting in the audio booth, just don't move, don't go anywhere, don't make eye contact with anybody in case they're a celebrity and they get mad and they're like, who's that girl? And you know what I mean? So you just kind of sit there, mind your P's and Q's.
Want to be a mouse.
And actually being a mouse was an opportunity for me to meet a mega celebrity. And this
Who's that?
Well, I'll call him EJ. No, anyways, this singer. Go ahead and say it. His name's Elton.
Oh, Elton John. Okay.
And
Mom was prompting her to just say the name.
But anyways, so I'm just sitting there minding my business, not looking at anybody doing anything, and he popped in. He's like, "Can I hide in here?"
Who was he hiding from?
I think he was just in a great mood
Can
that
I hide
day.
in here?
He was on set. It was the Sharon Osbourne show at the time.
Okay. That's so funny.
And it happened to be her birthday that day. Yeah.
Okay.
So
was he a surprise for her?
I don't know. Maybe.
You weren't paying attention. You were being a mouse.
He was there to play the bitches back.
Okay.
And the whole thing, I think. And I was there to give her a present.
They're
and
like,
actually, her
give her the
birthday is
present.
in October, because it's Cancer Awareness Month, and she's also a big advocate for that. And I think they were also doing some cancer awareness show for the day. And I'm just sitting there, and here he comes. He's like, "Can I hide in here?" Sitting right next to me, and I'm speechless.
Yeah. What do you say? And you're like, "Sup?"
Sup.
And at the end of the day, she gets to go out to lunch with them.
And he happened
nice.
to have some some giveaways, some MAC lipstick. I think he was supporting at the time something called Diva. And I know it was kind of a long time ago, but I still happen to have it, just because.
Yeah. Why would you throw away an Elton John gift? Right.
Yeah. And so anyway.
Why do you still have this Mac? Oh, Elton gave that to me.
I'm just gonna hold on to it. They're like, no, throw that away.
Well, look I got my my International Fashion Film Award.
Nice.
That I don't know who this belonged to. I'm not going to say the year, but this year several people won it, and I had to dig it out of the trash, literally. So I guess they didn't want it that bad.
Oh well, it's a beautiful statue,
isn't it?
Honestly, it's got movement, and also tells us it's from the industry with the real tape on there, and the hat, fashion, and the no arms.
And the no arms, of course, because why do women need arms?
I like it. So fashion and movies.
Yeah. So like I got that. I got something in my closet from a couple celebrity who I met in my early days.
Yeah.
She's a very kind lady. She would always I'd pick up the phone and she'd be like, Hey Zeus, don't make. I'm like, hey, what's going on?
Nice.
Yeah, she was a sweet lady.
Yeah, I've of course having these friends and everyone in the industry. If you go to their house, you see awards and different things, and it's great to see them in person, like the
Yeah.
Oscars and the Emmys and and to hold one. You get the chills a little bit. You're like, wow, it's a real
Yeah,
thing.
you're
I
like,
mean,
this is heavy.
right?
Right.
She went to high school and was on stage in high school.
Who
with a
wasn't?
megastar.
Yeah.
Who wasn't? Who?
Well, I don't want to say her name because that one is personal to me.
Oh,
So
personal. Shh.
she's a personal friend, and
she's a
but
megastar.
she is a megastar.
All right.
And it was
I'll
wonderful
believe
working
you.
with her. And then I ran into her just recently
Uh-huh.
at work, and I told her, I said, every time I see her in the public and on the front page of something, and they're talking about her family, I get frustrated. I get, don't talk about my friend, don't
Get
air
mad.
her personal information, because I'm very, very protective. And I told her that, and she goes, you know what? Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Because people will sell you out in a
They will.
second. Even
Mhm.
Longoria can attest to that.
Oh.
I mean, it's her own brother, for Christ's sake.
Oh. So, yeah,
I can say that because it's already out, but it's true.
actually, what story?
She was having an affair, and I think her brother, like...
Outed her?
Outed her, like, with text messages.
What?
Yeah, like, his sister's, like, confiding in him. He's like, oh, TMZ would like that. I don't know who he initially sent them to. I just know that he was the culprit behind why everybody found out her personal business.
Yeah. And there's
Love
that.
you too,
know?
bro.
There's that. There's that the personal business thing. It's got to be hard when you share your life with the world, and you can sometimes you can't stop it. Like there's just like TMZ and all the paparazzi certain things. I mean,
Yeah,
it's gotta be tough.
I actually, I went to Burning Man this year, and I was standing next to a well-known, I'm going to call him a rock star, a well-known rock star, and from my sister-in-law's favorite band, and I just kind of, looked over and, went, what's up, and he, went, what's up, and, if sometimes I made a comment about something and he'd make his comment, but it was just
A natural.
it was just like a natural conversation. And
Conversation.
I didn't bring up the fact that I knew who he was. I
Sure.
pretended like I didn't know who he was. It was just like a guy standing next to me. And there was another person there that there was a place where you could go drink water, which, believe it or not, is very important while you're out there. And this gentleman sat down next to me, this other gentleman, and we just carried on a casual conversation because we were both drinking the cucumber water, which was very tasty, by the way. And I'm waiting for the LaCroix version of that.
Well, at my job we have spa water. I work at Burke Williams
course.
Day
Who
Spa.
doesn't have
So
the
we
spa
were always
water?
with the cucumber water. People are like, "This is lovely. Can I get more?"
Yes.
Of course you can.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love those opportunities.
Why did you leave the entertainment industry? I mean, obviously you had some pretty spectacular opportunities, and you had some great jobs. Why would you leave what brought you so much joy, shall I say?
Well, the job doesn't get any easier,
Does not get easier.
The older you get. And then, about the time I left was the time that there was a huge grievance. I think there was something that happened on the set of a Disney show of some sort. But it went all the way to the higher ups. And the unions and everything got involved. And it was about the hands in the cookie jar. It was about... everything being labeled and everything being single serving and everything being non-contaminated. You have to have, there's no cooking on set. Crafty can't cook anymore. There's no, I was free to grab some pizza rolls from the freezer section at Smart and Final and put them on my hot plate, and now I can't do that. So there was a lot of restrictions.
Now, did this go industry wide, or
It did.
Wow?
Yeah, I think it's still. I mean, I'm out now.
I've
but
never
I
even
think
really
there's
paid
still-
attention.
I think
of course.
there's still a lot of rules like that.
Yeah. Who's the what's the word I'm looking for? Who was the person with OCD and germ phobia that sparked all this?
I don't know.
We don't know the culprit.
I don't know that person. But I do know that it happened like right around the time that
you were like,
that
oh,
I was,
fuck this shit.
Yeah, I was about over it.
Yeah.
There was a lot of days where I would just throw stuff down and be like, I'm done with this. I'm so done. Let's just move on. And then I get sucked back in with a great job that would pay me $4,000, and I'm like, okay, I'll take the $4,000. And then that feast and famine, that back and forth and up and down, and then I just decided let's try something else. And I was born to party, so born to party. That just meant like I went to work for a party company, DB Creativity out of the Valley. And
shout out to DB Creativity.
That was before. Mom's trying to remind me. But yeah, DB Creativity was a great opportunity for me to mitzvah every 13-year-old in the Valley and do party planning in general. But party planning, there's a lot of details and a lot of hard work and a lot of, the floral and the set design.
Speaking of bar mitzvahs, what's the craziest one? Because I've heard some like crazy ass shit. Like, I think didn't somebody like like they would get like somebody to come out. I can't remember the celebrity, but they paid the celebrity X amount of dollars to like come out and sing at her son's bar mitzvah, this kid's bar mitzvah, and I'm like, fuck, man, how much do these things cost?
Oh yes, wild. Okay, so this kid was totally into USC. The Trojans.
The Trojans.
Yeah,
okay.
Yeah, USC. And so they had some USC cheerleaders come out. And
jeez, what did I get for my 13th birthday?
Yeah, the USC and part of the marching band.
Yeah.
Yeah, so the marching band.
Because it would have looked awkward with just the cheerleaders, right? All the dads hanging around, so try not to pay attention.
Yeah.
While the guys are like, you think she'll say hi to me?
Yeah.
That must have been an awkward situation, though.
No, it was fun. It worked out. We kept it, we kept it PG.
PG, of course. Well, yes. I wasn't expecting anything different. I'm just saying, like,
it's not like they were out there doing splits and throws and showing, they're just doing their little cheers and, not too much, like, lifts and throws and stuff. Of course, we can't have that, like, insurance-wise.
Right.
Be doing that.
Of course not.
We're keeping it real.
Keeping it real.
Keeping it on the floor.
Stay on the floor. You can do as many back handsprings as you want, but don't toss anybody in the air.
Right. So, yeah. But no, nothing too wild and crazy. Nothing out of the ordinary.
Nobody bought giraffes and elephants and wanted to...
No. I mean, I would see...
Nobody flew in Kanye West for... I don't know, a speech maybe? I'm not too sure.
No, actually the wildest time was when I was doing craft service on the Shabbat, and it was the telethon. The telethon, and they were way hopped up on Manischewitz, man. They were in their circle, doing their circle, and they get with their hands, together, right. And they get faster and faster and faster. And one of them ran over the speaker down on the front of the stage and toppled over, and then they all toppled over like dominoes. And then they got back up, and they were like, "Hey!" And they just kept going. It was classic. And then after that, they were drinking their back to their Manischewitz. And
such a horrible one to drink.
Oh my God! It was that was funny. That was good. That was good stuff.
But yeah, alcohol never stops. I mean, if you got a good party, alcohol is just going to add to it.
Yeah.
Until you have that one uncle who says, "What do you mean by that?" Yeah, we're good on time. I'm watching the time.
No, I have to be at work in an hour.
Yes,
we're good.
Yeah.
Just down the road.
But I want to take the time quickly to say thank you for having me out and letting me reminisce. And, actually your questions have been bringing up things that I haven't thought about in years. And it just reminds me of how blessed I am to have the opportunities I've had, how honored I am to have worked with the people that I've worked with, and taken a lot from them and taken it into my own life and used it. Also that I'm an awesome person. Sometimes
I'm awesome.
You need reminding. Sometimes you need reminding. Sometimes when it's really hard, you get down on yourself, and sometimes you go, you know what? shit, I just can't do it. But I don't know what I'm doing here. And then you turn around and say, you know what? I know exactly what I'm doing here
Mm-hmm.
because I am here.
Right.
And
You have the same background
yeah,
on an album.
I like they're there, and I have some.
Whose
really
albums
blessed.
did you sing background on?
Chris Isaac.
Oh, I love Chris Isaac.
Mm.
Did bad thing. Do-do-do-do.
Yeah.
Yes, I love him. He's so funny too.
Yeah, he was. He is every bit as
He's
lovely
so
as you
funny.
think he is.
Yeah, yeah. So how did you get that gig? Were you like singing in the shower and he walking by one day?
I happened to be singing an Alice in Chains song in my office when I worked for A&M Records at the time,
Okay.
and it was my morning warm up. I just was working in a radio, in this recording studio on Jim Henson's lot, and I'm getting Kermit the Frog picture on my paycheck. Like that is a dream come true, right
Yeah,
there.
that's
Kermit the Frog is
you
on
know,
your paycheck.
you know that was Charlie Chaplin's old studio.
Yeah, on the Chaplin Studios.
Yeah.
Yep. And he heard me and said to his producer, "Hey, I need a female backup part." And actually, Chris was very good at doing his own female parts, and I think he was just always willing.
Yeah, he's got a really good vocal range.
His range is amazing, and I think he was always willing to share. And whenever he heard something interesting, he wanted to bring that in, and he was always collaborating with different people. Like Minnie Driver was there at the same time working on the same album.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and what a lovely voice and an amazing person she is. And he
And
got
such
my
a strong jawline too.
he got my phone number from the facility manager at the time,
Uh-huh.
and I think she's still there anyways, Fariel. And he called me on my cell phone when I was at lunch.
Oh, really?
And I thought somebody was pulling my leg. No, seriously, they were always joking me at that studio. They were always pranking me. I guess I was just gullible and easy to fool. So, and there's lots of stories about that. But yeah, he called me on my cell phone and said, "Hey, can you do this part?" And then his producer John Shanks was like, "No, it's me. It's John, and it really is Chris. He wants to talk to you." So I was like, okay, and he's like, "Can you do this part?" And he was humming out the part, and he's like, "Can you do that?" And I'm like, "Sure." I was humming it out on the phone. He's like, "No, I really kind of need you to hear you in person." See, this is that back to this 22
really kinda need you
year old
here
self.
for-
No,
Yeah,
and I'm just like,
that's so
sure,
funny.
I can do it. And
Like, no, not on the phone.
if I'm come in and we'll put you in the booth and headphones and we can do it. And
How
I
old
said,
were you when this happened?
I think 23.
Ooh, what a great
22,
young
23.
experience, young in your career.
Oh, at 22, 23, those years were honestly the best years, not of my life, but of my Hollywood, like living in
Yes,
a
let's
young
not forget
life.
the child you
Yes.
birthed.
Yes, well,
Obviously, that was the greatest day of your life.
and
hands
honestly,
down.
I can say yes because I don't know where I'd be without her. She's amazing.
Good.
But that moment, I found myself sitting in the recording booth with the headphones on, and I'm staring like blank-eyed, like, what do I do? And he's like, no, just listen, and then and then go back, and then do your own thing to it, and then let's see what happens. And he goes, you know what? You added a note in there that I actually kind of like because now it takes it away from sounding like something else I did. And I didn't think of that, and if it wasn't for you, the song, I don't think I would have liked it as much.
And what song was that, just out of curiosity?
It was called Cool Love on an album called We've Got Tonight.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sweet.
So, yeah, and there was a couple other things that I did for him, and he said, well, I'm not sure if we're going to be able to keep it, but I'll talk to my Pro Tools guy, and he's like, I'm going to go for you. And I did end up getting some money from the sales of the record, but
Good.
I chose, he sent me an email, and I sent back, I said, if it's all good with you, I can sign off, but I'd love for my proceeds, my share, to go towards your favorite charity.
Oh, well, that was very kind of you at such a young age when I'm sure you probably
I
could have used the
absolutely
money.
could have used the money, but
What made you make that decision?
because of his generosity,
Really?
one gesture turns to another.
Okay, pay it forward. I like that
Yeah.
attitude.
And I do believe karma is a thing, and I also thought to myself, if I'm going to try a career, I would like my first
What stopped
paying-
you from getting further into the music business?
Oh, I don't know. That might be a
gullibility
story.
pranks?
Yeah, maybe. I don't know. That might be a story for another day.
What was the since you're gonna not balk at that? My question is, what was the prank that you were the most gullible on? Like they had you going strung out for like the longest time.
they put a tape recorder of the sound of a kitten meowing
Yes.
in the ceiling above my desk. And I'm in there poking, like, with the broomstick, going, what the hell is going on
How'd the
around
cat
here?
get up there?
What is up there? And then, of course, there's rumors that, and I'm pretty sure that it's beyond a rumor, and maybe that it's haunted. And
That place is haunted?
Mostly, yeah. I mean, a lady did take her life on the set. I believe she was a girlfriend of Charlie's at one point, and I don't know, it ended badly, but she hung herself there. So there is.
I think that was in the movie.
Yeah, there is. Everybody a haunted history thing. So of course they would. There's my office, and then right outside the main door is an old wooden staircase that goes up, and it's outside the building. So you're kind of every now and then you kind of. Am I hearing somebody walk up those stairs? Because you think somebody's coming in the front door.
Right.
And there's nobody at the door. And then you hear more footsteps. So I'm pretty sure they were pranking me with that. They would just leave a tape recorder around, like, near me with the sounds of things. And so I'm pretty sure that whoever works there has passed those stories down, because I did hear from a friend that I worked with, and she said, yeah, we still tell those stories. So I'm very much alive.
The stories about you or about it being haunted?
No,
we
the
pranked her
stories about
so
me.
bad.
Yeah,
She thought there was a kitten in the roof.
Some of those
on the
stories
ceiling.
are still going, I'm sure. Yeah.
The dog got to.
The what?
I brought my dog a couple of days when I worked at A&M to just be with me, because he was an awesome dog.
Sure.
And his name was Jerry Bear Garcia.
Jerry Bear Garcia.
Yeah, and he was the type of dog that his eyes were red, and so he looked like he was stoned all the time.
Okay.
And
And he wore a studded collar.
yeah, he wore a studded collar at the time.
Because what dog wouldn't?
Right, and he was a Hollywood dog. He was born in Hollywood. So I took him to set one day, and Ozzy was there on a Saturday.
Ozzy Osbourne?
Yeah, I didn't know he was going to be there, and it was kind of my bad. I was like, I'll.
So how difficult is it to understand him?
Yeah, it's in every other word, kind of thing. Yeah.
That's what I figured.
And I'll do my best, but yeah, he.
So it wasn't just written into the show.
No, he was a huge fan of dogs.
Oh, really?
Yeah, he is. Yeah, he loves animals.
He loves
and
animals.
So, boy, did he get along good with my dog.
Oh, yeah.
He was chasing him up and down. Well, sort of, as he was
Shuffling
up and down the hallways. I was like, take it easy on the old guy, kid. Don't knock him down, and he just would let him lick all over him and jump on him and chase him up and down the hallway. And he even happened to have a dog treat in his pocket, which kind of threw me.
Dog treats in my pocket.
Yeah, he carries dog treats in his pockets, or he used to anyway. And
Sharon, I need my dog treats.
right, I lost sight of Jerry for a minute, and I'm looking around, and I went in to peek into Studio B, and there he was behind the window, sitting on the floor next to Ozzy, tweaking his head from side to side because he's hitting these fantastic notes.
Oh, really?
And I'm just looking like, don't bark, don't whine, don't jump, don't lick, don't butt snack right now. Just, don't itch.
Don't move.
Don't move. Don't scratch.
You're gonna fuck this up.
Right? Don't fuck this up for me, Jerry. And then he's like, "You're a good boy, and
Yeah.
he's just loving the dog. And
That's fantastic.
I have some other really great stories that go along with that. But animals on set have there's a lot of good, funny stories about animals on set too, and needing a supply of food for them. Like, hey, do you have any nuts? Like, we need them like non-salted, non-roasted honey nut.
Wow,
we need the regular.
Very particular.
Like, exactly. And all the best I
You
can
want
come
some
up
raw
with
almonds?
was almonds. Exactly,
Yeah.
was raw almonds I happen to have, and some dried mangoes and.
What was it, on a vegetarian diet?
Right, these kinds of things. Well, for monkeys.
Oh, for monkeys. I
Yeah.
thought it was a dog.
No,
I'm like,
it was like,
for a monkey.
and it
Okay,
was
I can see a
like,
monkey eating nuts.
and beyond this monkey couldn't eat bananas for whatever reason. His constitution couldn't do that, and
No potassium for
it was
you.
like my first instinct was to shove them bananas, and he was like, "Actually, no." Do you have?
Yeah,
This
I
is
don't,
a
I
Hollywood
don't, I don't
monkey.
know how many. I think that's just a Hollywood myth. I don't think
Yeah.
too many monkeys are eating, but unless they live near bananas, I'm sure they probably eat them. But
Yeah.
I'm sure that's not the mainstay of their diet.
Yeah, I just had a vision of being on set in Santa Clarita, right off of San Fernando Road, and the 14 is a little raceway. There's like a little racetrack out there. It's dirt,
Okay.
and I would always pass by it when I lived out there, and I never saw a race go on there ever. But I guess somebody picked that set up, or that place up to do a show, and it turned out to be like a car show, kind of like they were destroying things. They were like running cars through things. I don't know what this was for, but there was stuff everywhere flying around. They were like, let's destroy and they were English, let's destroy a lorry. And I remember them driving through a camper van that was, old. And so there's like stuff flying
Was it Top
around.
Gear?
Yeah, it was like an early Top Gear, I think. It was
Oh,
maybe,
wow.
Yeah.
Why did they come all the way out here to destroy cars?
I don't know. And they were in this.
We're
mini
going to
little
America to
racetrack,
destroy
but
our favorite English common cars.
Right, and then after that, they had a dog show, which was strange because you could see they were like cleaning up. So I think they were a 2-in-1. Like we've got this idea for a pitch for a car show, and then we've got this idea pitch for like a dog show, or
And they
it's a
booked
show
them on the
surrounding
same
like dogs.
day.
They booked them on the same day, so we've got dogs and cars and demolition and weird stuff going on. I mean, that really I think was one of the strangest days for me on set.
All right, let's wrap it up. Mom's getting antsy over here.
No, I'm just.
Interested? Enjoy looking over my shoulder?
Yeah.
Okay. All right, then. We'll continue on. Your daughter's fascinating.
I hope I wasn't too boring.
Well, if anybody's still sleeping now, it's because of the alcohol and barbiturates. Lost my concentration of thought. I'm just gonna.
Well, then I will fill it in with something if you have time.
I've got plenty. I've got as much time as you have.
Oh, no, I just wanted to say a big shout out.
Big shout out again.
To my Yachtly crew.
Your what crew?
My Yachtly crew.
Yachtly crew.
Yachtly crew.
Yes, they are the Titans of Rock. Soft Rock. Titans of Soft Rock. They just got picked by TKO Records Productions, and they are going international and national. So they started out right here in LA, and they worked really hard. And I'm just.
And who do you know on the Yachtly crew aside from the entire band?
The entire band.
The entire band. Yeah, but
And their wives.
what?
And their wives.
And their wives. And how did you meet up with these ruffians?
Oh, well, they are.
In deck shoes, I'm assuming, just by the name.
And ruffians in deck shoes, sure. Actually, that's a long story, but
Okay,
to make
new
it
story.
to make it simple and sweet.
Peanut shell.
It's through a mutual friend of ours passed away, and we all kind of met
Oh, really?
at the funeral.
Funeral. And they say, hey, we're gonna play some music here at the funeral, and then you were like, wow, that's a great song. When are you guys playing again? No.
No. This is way before that. This is like 6 years or so before they became. No, 8 years or so before they even became Yachtly Crew. So, but Rob Jones and Chaz Ruiz and Dave Spangler.
So, to the total of, well, you promised 20, but to the total of 40 people out there who are interested in this band, who might listen to this, please pick up Yachtly Crew's new. No, I guess they have
don't
a
have
CD?
an album. No,
They don't
but
have an
they're
album.
working on it.
They're working on it.
But they're
But
a
they might be on
live show band.
SoundCloud or Pandora something.
Yeah, I
no?
think. Well, that's coming soon.
Okay,
Yeah, they're
well.
Live band, they play at all the other canyons. but
they play it. Yeah, and they play at the Canyon.
But ours.
They're a Canyon
We're a
band.
theater. We're not a canyon.
And Synchronicity is a new
the wrong
police
name.
tribute band starting to play now for the Canyon.
You know, that's what. I mean, I get it. They want to brand it, like the Canyon at the Saban. But the Saban Theater, is, it's an LA iconic theater. One of,
I think
formerly
they
the
can
Fun-
do a lot with it. They just need to
Yeah, I
open
just
up.
think the marketing with that is just totally wrong. Because like I've been to the Canyon Club out in wherever the fuck it is.
They don't have to take the seats out. There is a way they can maneuver around that, and make it a flat area for dancing and that kind of thing.
Well, yeah, I mean, yeah, they could. As long as we don't put in the front chairs. I don't know why I'm talking shop. I don't want to do that.
It's because all right. No, it's all good.
I just don't like the way that everything's the canyon, the canyon, the canyon.
Well, check out the Canyon, the Rose, and
Rose.
and Ventura.
Yes, let's plug Sterling something Ventures. My boss. What a great guy.
And my boss.
And her boss.
Hey, we are blessed.
We are blessed. We are blessed. If you're working, you're blessed. If you have a roof over your head in this town, you're blessed. My God.
Oh my God.
What's the homeless situation like where you live?
Holy cow.
Did you meet the
it's
woman
tough.
on the corner in her tent? Does she have a cat today? Because she discovered that, aside from trying to raise a kitten in a tent on the corner of Wilshire, that we will give her money for the cat. So, and of course we have an assigned shelter that we take to. But damn, she's really picking up a lot of cats these days, and it's starting to get. I mean, fuck, man.
Well, the cat needs a roof too.
I
Who
know,
knows where
but
she got it from? But no, the situation is not under control, and it is quite out of hand. And there are mostly unless you choose to be homeless, which is it's a choice. There are people who
I'm sure there are.
It's a choice. I've tried to give food to some, and all they want is money because they're going to use it for liquor.
Right.
That's their choice. Like, he literally turned down a fresh sandwich, bagel, and soda and water because he wanted the money.
Yeah,
for
I don't
alcohol.
give out money. I said I'll buy you something, but I'm not giving you any cash.
Yeah. So, but the mental issue is hard. It's really hard because the other day, and I want to say I was walking by the Victoria's Secret, and I think I was on the phone with you, and there was a guy, probably homeless with the mental issues, having a moment in front of the Victoria's Secret place, and it wasn't the kind of moment that was crying out for help, but he was going at the window of the Victoria's Secret angel laying on her butt with her butt hanging out.
As we all do.
So he was literally ogling out loud the Victoria Angel. And
as
I
long as he
laughed.
wasn't masturbating, I guess you're good to go,
and
right?
I laughed because it was funny.
Right.
But then other people around me are looking at me like I'm weird because this guy is having a moment with his mental moment, and that is not funny, however.
It's not
But
funny.
you know what?
But it's funny.
Damn it, I'm going to laugh when it's funny.
Yes, of course.
and my husband, he has a Bum of the Week video blog of his own. It's actually not posted because people would probably be offended.
Probably.
But he can't
They used to have
help
a
it.
videotape that in the 90s called Bum Fights.
Yes, I remember this. Yes.
And they're like, you can't do that.
You can't do that, right? And so he videotapes every now and then when he's somewhere in LA what they're doing on the corner. If their pants are half down and they're banging on a drum, or if they're dancing and their skirts are hiked up, or the late, they're just, but they're out, but
Or
it's
just on their
mostly-
cell phones.
Yeah, or just like he'll or jumping off benches, like bus benches and stuff like that, thinking they're Superman, or kung fu kicking in the air, thinking they're Karate Man or whatever. And yeah, he's got a little video. Hey,
He's meeting a lot of interesting
video.
homeless people. Where do you guys live?
Yeah, Santa Monica. You got to come on down.
yeah.
I mean, they are interesting.
Yeah, there's plenty out there. They were out there back in the 90s.
Yeah.
And then we live by a recording studio, so we get to see a lot of stars there too.
Yeah.
Yay, celebrity. That's what I tell people. I'm like, don't do the celebrity house thing. If you want to see a celebrity, go hang out at the Whole Foods in Brentwood. Go hang.
Oh, yeah. Just this morning, my friend posted online that Jeff Goldblum was doing a commercial of some sort inside of a supermarket near his house.
Oh, yeah.
And he walked in, and there was only 2 people hanging out around, and that was like the crew, but everybody else was shopping.
Right.
And that's how normal
Yeah, that's how
that
normal it is.
for LA,
when you're upset at the film crew because you're like, really?
Hey.
Here?
right? You're like, I'm here to get my fresh berries, and you're in front of my berries. Excuse me.
I don't know where I was walking to, but I had a young actress. She was background, and she's like, we're shooting a movie. We're in the shot. I'm like, they'll be happy. I'm filling out the background. Don't worry about it. And she took offense to that. She was like trying to get a PA over here. I'm like, oh, he doesn't care. He's got other things to do.
Yeah.
They're like, oh, you're just one more guy. I'm like, my face isn't going to be seen, so what do they care?
Yeah.
But I'm like, oh, you must be new. She didn't take that kindly either. I'm like, oh, I'm sorry.
She was probably the kind that took home the snacks that she was gonna
She
that
took
for
home all the
dinner.
snacks for dinner.
Right.
Wait a second. Every set I've been on that's had like a large background, we don't let them near Crafty. Like they have like their like.
We do a side crafty for
Yeah,
them.
they
We
have
do
their
like,
own thing.
Yeah,
Like,
we do like a.
and it's so sad when they come over to ours and ask if they can have a thing where you're like, doctor. I was like, oh, you gotta ask them. I don't know, man. I'm just.
Yeah, I
grabbing a
like to
bagel
be
and-
the yes man, but it's hard. Sometimes you have
I
to say
know.
no. You're like, no, I'm sorry. This is for
Yeah,
crew. I
yeah.
can't. Water, I would never say no. Water
Right,
is water
water's
is
fine,
water.
yeah.
That will even come out of my pocket if it has to.
Uh-huh.
You're out there sweating your ass off, working for them, and
Yeah.
if they can't cover it, then I will.
Yeah. Well, that's nice.
That's
of
how
you.
I feel about my crew.
Very good. Very good.
Yeah.
So we talked about the homeless. I didn't mention that Eric Garcetti is completely ineffective as a mayor. Oh, I did? Okay. Well, I'm just going to mention it again.
And there it is.
Because he's like, now that it's like, wow, we have 100,000 homeless in the city of Los Angeles. Oh, well, let's open up shelters. Now? Like you're waiting now? This is your second term? You ran on this, remember?
Mhm. Yeah. Well, that's.
Of course, the gentleman lives several blocks down in this direction.
Mm-hmm.
And do you think there's any homeless in that neighborhood? Oh, no. There aren't. I'm going to say this, and it's true about Los Angeles. The people who don't see a homeless problem, it's because
They don't live.
because the police that go into that area, they move them out. You can go to Brentwood, and if you're homeless, you're okay as long as your tent is outside the VA gates.
Yeah.
Once you cross that street, you're going right back.
That's right.
So, all these celebrities and who like this, that, and the other, I'm like, it's all bullshit,
Yeah.
And it upsets me because I can't, you can't call a 5150 on them because all of a sudden, because they're cognitive enough to like realize that, oh yeah, I'm going to go be here for a little while, and they snap into their, no, everything's fine. No, I've got my medication. And, they have their medication. They just don't take it for whatever
Just
reason.
Because you're homeless doesn't mean
And this is
you
something
can't
I've,
walk down the street.
Yeah. And it's a terrible thing because I really think that there does need to be mental health and taken care of. You got to put these people.
Yeah, something's got to change with the
ridiculous.
with the mental health
And
situation.
a lot of them are veterans too, so that's
right.
even worse.
Yep, we got to take care of our vets. Absolutely.
Exactly. So, now that let's get off this happy subject. So what was the straw that broke the camel's back that you're like?
Well, there's only so much you can do.
Yeah, you can only go so far in Crafty, right?
Well,
Once-
right. I'm not moving up. You know,
Right.
it's I'm not gonna become.
I mean, if
VP
you want to go up in
over
Crafty, I guess you would have to like open
Get
up,
your
get your
truck.
truck and.
Yep, that was the next
Start
evolution.
catering,
We-
yeah.
And we thought about that. That
Uh-huh.
could have been because it was actually right as the food truck craze was.
Right, Kogi.
Yeah, exactly.
Started it all.
About what, 6 years ago,
Mhm.
6 years ago,
Yeah.
ish. Yeah, it was right there, and
Mhm.
it's a possibility, always a possibility. But was that my passion? No.
What
Did
is
it-
your passion? Since we're here, what is your passion? You haven't found it yet?
No, I mean, well,
No?
I love music is a passion.
Do you
My
write
family-
music?
in my head?
Can you play an instrument?
I can.
What instrument do you play?
Well, I play harmonica, and I can play a little piano, guitar, ukulele, nose harp.
Nose harp. I don't know what that is, but okay.
Right. Well, anyways, yeah, passion. There's passion for all kinds of things, but music moves me for
Music
sure.
moves you. Okay.
Yeah, and you were saying, why did you get out? And
So
how come
aside
we
from
didn't-
John Popper, who your harmonica influences? There's a reference that nobody's gonna get.
Actually, he's one of them. Yeah, he's an amazing mouth harp player.
Who?
Meatloaf.
Meatloaf?
And when I met him, I asked him, "Do I call you Mr. Loaf?
Do I call you
Meat?"
Mr. Loaf?
And he loved it. He was like, "No, call me what my mom calls me. It's meat." He's amazing. He's awesome. He's an awesome guy.
He was great until he got on that show and you saw how off tune he was. I don't know if he just didn't care, or if he was just doing it for the paycheck, but
Yeah.
you know. But
Well, Chris Isaac gave me one of his favorite harmonicas and said,
Oh,
"Don't."
did he really?
Yeah. He said, "Don't get a voice coach. You're amazing the way you are. Just
oh, that was nice of him.
use this, and you'll always be on key."
Did he ever tell? My favorite the first when first Chris Isaac came on my radio was that music video with that model. No.
Yeah.
And he's like, oh, I like how he does it. He's like, no, man, she had that look in her face because she wanted absolutely nothing to do with me. She wasn't friendly. She didn't talk to me. She didn't care who I was. She was just there. He's like, oh, I never met such an unfriendly person. I'm putting words in his mouth, but
That's funny though.
but
That makes
it's
sense.
a funny story. You should ask him about it next time you see him.
I probably will.
Yeah.
I got
Oh, she's
Millie brought me a drumstick.
oh, a drumstick from who? Colonel Sanders, Popeyes.
Lars Ulrich.
Oh, Lars Ulrich. Lars, I agree. I mean, I Lars Ulrich is the reason why Napster disappeared, and the reason why now that we have to pay Apple and Spotify and Pandora
Gotta
and
pay them.
which I'm all about paying. I don't think anything should be pirated. I don't think that I wasn't one of those people who wasn't
Right.
downloading albums that I didn't have. But at the exact same time, I think there was an opportunity missed there, and turned me away from Metallica at that point.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah, I'm sure he's a nice guy though. But yeah,
She played his drums at 4 years old.
what were you doing at? Okay, so
I told you I was born to party, and there's a story behind everything. Okay, well
what
now
are you
you're gonna
doing
get the
playing Lars
backstory.
Ulrich's drums at 4 years old?
I don't know. Ask this girl right here.
Yeah, what are you doing hanging out with Metallica?
Well, they were either in studio recording their first album, or they had just finished their first album.
Uh-huh.
They were
Playing at private
studio.
parties.
By the way, the reason why I have an issue with Lars Ulrich is because he didn't have any problem with people pirating their shit when they were giving it out for free.
Oh.
And like I said, nobody should pirate anything, but if you've come from like, hey, now that you've made it, you should be like, oh, well, maybe we can come to a compromise with this. But he
Yeah.
was like, fuck you.
Wow.
So
But in his younger years.
anyway, in his younger
it was a
years,
lot different.
when he had hair,
and
and he's been bald for a while, but go on.
And I met him in the East Bay in San Francisco area, San Leandro. We were at a party. He was playing at this party that I happened to be there for.
And what were you doing at this party, and why were you there?
Well,
I'm dragging a 4-year-old with you.
And dragging a 4-year-old with you,
well,
nonetheless.
I was a party girl, and my friends.
And
but
babies are portable?
Well, okay. I had her at 16.
Okay.
So she went everywhere with me because what else am I going to do? But I was at this party. I was going for a weekend with my
Okay,
friends,
right.
and there happened to be a party, and he was at this one house practicing.
I find this such bad parenting, but I love this story.
Yes, I was a bad parent at the time, but look at what an amazing girl it's turned out to be.
Amazing woman. Lovely
So-
daughter who I've never met, and I'm sure her husband is a very happy, happy man.
Yeah. So I was in this room watching him practice. She was playing his drum, and he just stopped playing as she continued on beat, perfect timing.
I guess I play drums too.
And,
Play drums.
and it was Rush, Tommy. And,
Okay.
So he looked at me and said, "How? What?" And I said, "Well, that's what you get when you got a rock and roll mama." And he started laughing, and we spent the next 4 or 5 days together.
What was he like in bed?
He,
I was gutter.
I don't kiss and tell.
Did you see how quick that was?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. And here I am yawning, stretching it out. Anyways, but if you want to
I
take
know you
the
don't want to.
but if you want to take the story full circle, I ended up running into him later when I worked for
At the
A&M
record
at
store.
the
Okay,
record.
that's
Told him the
fantastic.
story.
I did. I told him the story, and he
Uh-huh.
said, "You know what? Here's my drumsticks and a bunch of like whatever."
Uh-huh.
And then he was like,
That was very
it was
nice.
really, that he's like, I remember that. That's so cool. It's great to see you again. And,
I had lost
Probably
the
remembered
CD.
your mom a little bit more, but.
yeah. Or
The
maybe
first
not.
stick he gave me did have
Or
the Metallica
maybe
logo on it.
With all the people that he's
that's
been
so
in
terrible,
his-
isn't it? To
in
say?
his rock and
It's
roll
like,
days,
I
you
remember the
can't-
4-year-old. Do you remember my mom? No,
No.
nope, doesn't
he
ring a
did
bell.
remember me. He did remember
No, I think he did. Just kidding. It's good times.
Good times.
Wild Wild West, yo.
Oh,
Yeah.
you know what? Like I tell jokes around her, and this is what she does. She's like, "That's funny."
Oh, but when he was trying to give somebody a present, nobody would take it. He had his hands like this, and I got a gift for you.
Yeah.
Nobody would take
Nobody
it.
Yeah,
would take it.
because they
Except
know
me.
you.
And it was
Uh-huh.
that little red Corvette.
Oh, they expected
a
a
little
joke
red
to
Corvette.
happen, some sort of
It's on my dresser.
something to pop out.
Who?
Are you known as a jokester? Do people like not pull your finger when you say pull it, or
I
pick
don't
a
like
hand?
those jokes.
Oh, you
I
don't?
Mean,
Okay.
No, I've never been a fan of fart jokes. I mean, in an awkward situation, yes, I'm gonna laugh, but I'm not like a pull your finger guy.
Or like you
I didn't
imagine.
even do that to my nephews.
Imagine there's a little alien standing on my hand. Shake his hand. Shake the alien's hand. That's not his hand. You know, those kinds of things. When dirty old men do that to you,
No,
you always remember.
I never
that.
did that one.
But no one wanted to see what is in his hands.
All right, and that's where you came up with the Corvette.
That's when I came up. I got a red Corvette. It's on my dresser.
And it didn't cost you a quarter.
It didn't cost me a thing.
Did I give you a red Corvette?
Yeah.
Oh, see how well I remember things? I need
See?
to lay off the weed. Yeah, but I think a child left it behind, and I just like, hey,
Okay.
does it,
Makes sense.
just
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm like,
All right.
I could either throw it away or give it to somebody. So I was like,
And he
Bored.
went around to several of the other ladies,
Like-
and nobody would take.
Okay,
his
we are
money.
way off topic, you
Yeah.
guys.
yeah.
But that's the story from this.
No one
set.
gives a
It
shit if
was
I gave you a
awesome.
Corvette. We want to hear about Lars is like. How freaky was he?
Oh, he was sweet.
Did he go down? Did he go downtown, or was he, an upstairs man?
Why are you
I'm
putting
just
this out?
being funny,
I know.
please.
I like I need.
I'm trying to embarrass-
He took me to the drive-in to see a cartoon.
That's where I would take my girlfriend when I was 16.
What was it? Heavy metal?
No, it was The Last Unicorn.
Last unicorn. Okay.
Because he couldn't afford the hotel room at the time, ladies and gentlemen. Okay. Enough of your mom. You're a lovely woman, Barbara.
I brought up an amazing girl.
Back to Millie, who I can see where she gets her wild streak from now. So, what was the biggest lesson you learned? Like, what would you tell the 20-year-old you who's like working at Jim Henson's place?
I would tell her to ditch the guy.
Ditch the guy.
Ditch the guy. Grab your animals and run. But only that being that I would have focused more on me.
Mm-hmm.
I would tell her to focus on yourself.
Mhm.
Take better care of yourself.
Uh-huh.
I would also tell myself that you got to climb the ladder. You have to go from A to B to C to get to
Mhm.
D. You
Right.
can't go from A to D and expect everything to be okay, because there are lessons to learn along the
Mhm.
way.
Yeah.
I wouldn't say be true to yourself, because that's always me, but I would say listen to your gut more.
Mm-hmm.
There's more that you know that you're not consciously telling yourself, but your subconscious is, and you listen to it because it serves you well.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a few things I could probably have avoided had I listened, but those lessons are well learned. Yeah.
I can't tell you how many times I'm like, nah, you don't know what you're talking about, to that voice in my head.
Yeah.
Like, this is going to be way better for me. Boy, was I wrong.
And
Okay, so what advice would you give to somebody starting out in this industry? No matter, I'm sure it doesn't matter what they're going to do, but someone coming out here.
just be prepared to work 18-hour days.
Mm-hmm.
And save your money. It is a feast and famine. Don't just hiatus, whatever. No, really, it happens. And then when you can't pay your bills and you don't have any food or gas, when you're walking, you'll know it. It's a real awakening when you don't have that cash. So don't squander it by going out all the time, or let somebody else pay. It's helpful to
I didn't have that option growing up.
or you'll have your experiences going out in great places, and obviously there's a lot of fun, and you just kind of fly by the seat of your pants, but just make sure you're guiding yourself at least a little bit. Have some kind of direction. Don't just leave it all up to fates, because it doesn't always work out. And sometimes you just get kicked around the block and you end up going home and you don't have much to show for it. But a lot of good stories. So make something of it. Do something with it, and
Write a book.
Yeah, write a book.
Demi Moore just did.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I heard about that. I've heard a lot of people say, Milli, you should write a book. You've got all these great things, but it's it's so personal. And
Right.
and actually reading a book that Sting wrote about himself called Broken Music, he really is just like heart-wrenched at all of the things that now he's going through, digging up everything from the past, but also learning more about himself by doing so. I mean, it's a something, if you think people are going to be interested in hearing, that's great, but it's also for the person who's writing it.
Yes. All right. Mom's giving us the we got to go. So I want to thank you for coming on. I want to thank your mom for reproducing. And
No one's ever said that before.
and I appreciate you coming on. I really do.
No, and I appreciate you having me. And it's been a real good time getting it all out. 'Cause it's
Sure.
kind of been
Anytime.
sitting in there.
And anytime you want to come back on, because God knows I don't like asking people to come on because it's issues for me.
Well, maybe we should have you over at Inspirato. It's another
It's another radio show. Okay.
Yeah.
We can have me come on and I can lie. Okay. About my life.
Thanks for having
To
me.
make it interesting. All
Bye,
right.
guys.
Have a good one.
Thank you.
Well, I hope you enjoyed this episode of Stories from the Set. I honestly was surprised how varied and how unique this girl was, and her mother Barbara is just fantastic. Her and Lars Ulrich, that's all I'm going to say about that. I hope you enjoyed the show. If you did, please hit the subscribe button and the little bell for notifications. If you didn't, leave a comment and tell me how bad it was and what I could do to improve. Again, if I could just part some wisdom to you that I'm currently trying to live by myself. Fail hard, fail often, so you can fail better, and may you never succeed at doing nothing. Thank you for listening. I really appreciate it. So until next time, we named the dog Indiana.